Guys, let's watch this new Willy video. It's probably a video I can relate with very much, okay? Even though MMOs are multiplayer games, a lot of the times I do end up doing a lot of things alone. The video is titled Together Alone, Why People Play MMOs Solo. Let's give this a watch, guys, and see what this is all about.
Thousands of other people on a daily basis, it can be hard to beat.
What did he say?
In a world surrounded by hundreds or thousands of other people on a daily basis, it can be hard to beat things out as the solo player. Indeed, it may seem as though things really aren't designed for this kind of person. And then you get home in the evening and you log into an MMORPG. From the bustling grand exchange in old school RuneScape to the mentally engaging Barons chat, MMOs have always been a hub of gameplay that bring people together from around the world. Yet in the storied history of the MMO, things have changed quite considerably with the times. Despite the genre being a massively multiplayer online role-playing game, people often do not play it for the massively multiplayer online part, or even the...
In how I see it sometimes it's the same with IRL, right? Like, at least for me, sometimes... Even though I like hanging out with people, I like, you know, doing activities with family and friends, sometimes you just want to do something alone. You just want to do some things alone. Even though there's people around you everywhere, it's just nice to, like, just zone into yourself and just, like, grind something out by yourself, you know? I like that aspect sometimes. And I think that's the cool thing about MMOs, that you can choose to do that if you so desire. And you can also play with other people if that's what you wish, right? Like, you can choose what you want to do. And that's awesome. I like that. I like that.
The role-playing game part either, if I'm being honest. It's changed for a lot of people from a hobby to a habit. Many of the reasons people chose to pick up the genre in the first place no longer exist, but there just isn't quite anything else in the gaming space that offers what an MMO does. A combination of character progression, active worlds, differently paced content between high action and focus, things you can do whilst watching something on your second monitor, and so much more. So how is it then a genre with a focus on massively multiplayer has become so much less social over the years? Why do people actively seek out online games with the intent of playing them alone? In this video,
I think, before he gets into the point, I think sometimes it's also just the fact that, like, generally speaking, people like playing games that other people play and that, like, other people are doing as well, but they also just like doing stuff alone, right? So, like, it's fun playing in an MMO on a server where there's a lot of people, because people are doing all kinds of things, and you meet people in the world, but sometimes you just want to play yourself, you know? You just want to do stuff that you want to do, and that's fair, right? That's good.
I hope to cover a number of reasons which I think have contributed to this shift over the years and explain why this has happened. If you like the content and want to see more of its kind, a sub and a like to the channel helps out the channel immensely and is completely free. A big thanks to all the members of the Patreon who keep videos like this coming. More info on that later if you did want to join. We need to start with the basics, because it wasn't any singular game, movement, or patch which led to the rise of the solo player. We have to take a step back and look at the bigger picture.
Yeah, Luna, I agree with your comment as well. I like being part of a massive world because it makes things immersive, but I like doing things solo. I very much agree with that. I love that when I walk around in World of Warcraft, let's say I walk around in Westfall or Barons or whatever I'm doing and I'm questing, and I see people questing and, like, talking to each other and, like, running around doing things, but I can do it by myself if I so desire. But I see people around doing the same things that I'm doing. It's like, you know, you're part of something and you're part of, like, a living world, and you're doing something that other people are doing as well. Like the random interactions and stuff. Exactly. It makes it feel like, you know, you're doing something that other people enjoy to do as well. What's up, Spexy?
Social changes which have affected everybody across the world, gamer or otherwise. Ever since the rise of the internet and online gaming in the early 90s, the exponential growth of the 2000s, and then the proliferation of it in the 2010s, the world has very much become a smaller place. When you wanted to go on the internet, you used to have to listen to this.
Dude.
You get back from school and talk to people on MSN Messenger.
They gotta get off the phone, man. Goddamn,
dude. Flash games were at their peak, and when MMOs started popping up, they offered more chances to talk with people across the world.
Honestly, the fact that, like, the internet was so bad and it was so scarce to be able to play games, it kind of made it more special. When I was a kid, I didn't have a computer, right? And my big brother had a computer because he's 6 years older than I am, right? So he had a PC, but I didn't. So whenever I got to play, I only got to play whenever he wasn't at the computer. Like when he wasn't home or he was doing other things. And then I was allowed to play. So it just made it that much more special. When I got to play World of Warcraft for like 1 hour or like half an hour or 2 hours, it was insane. Because I finally got to do something, right? And now it's like, just to play whatever you want, kind of. So it made it more special when it was also like a rare thing and a rare commodity, right? When my parents got the D2 phone bill, not good, not good.
Not just different people either, but those who you could pretty safely assume you had things in common with. Chances are, if you are fishing on RuneScape next to somebody else, they also, A, like RuneScape, and a B, probably fishing for a reason. If you've just put a group together for Razorfen Crawl, that's a common goal to work towards.
Yep.
Indeed, part of the early charm and fascination with online worlds were really both about the MMO and the RPG. For millions, they weren't just fantasy worlds with swords and magic, they were a gateway to making lifelong friends, creating memories, and undertaking activities which would stick with them. Earlier MMOs absolutely facilitated this kind of gameplay as well, usually with much slower pacing overall, be it the combat or traveling to dungeons. The games made it possible, but the players also wanted it and were invested in it. This is key. Moreover, gaming used to be much less of a mainstream form of entertainment. You know, your parents wanted...
Dude, you guys remember... If you guys are my age as well, dude, it was actually so unpopular to play WoW, and even like... I guess like Call of Duty and FIFA was okay. Like FIFA has always been like that cool game. But back in the day, dude, I remember there were some girls in my middle school class that was literally scared shitless to like have people figure out that they played WoW. Like I know they play WoW and some other people did, but it was like that deep dark secret that nobody would like they didn't want anyone to know about. And now it's like, I mean, it's cool, don't get me wrong. It's awesome that it's like embraced and it's cool to play games now, but it was very different back then. It was like they were scared to have people figure out that they played WoW and they liked playing WoW, because people were bullied for like liking WoW or like liking video games, unless it was FIFA or like Call of Duty maybe, right? That's it. Counter-Strike was what everybody played, at least where I lived. The funny thing is, when I went to school, everybody played WoW. In my class, everybody played WoW, but nobody wanted to say that they played it. It's like they were all like scared for some reason that it was gonna get out that they liked World of Warcraft, right? Because it's like a nerdy thing. It was very strange, but kids are stupid, I guess, in that regard. I was just learning from my class and I was school streaming. I also wanted to play WoW when you did, but probably didn't make it think it was okay. Yeah, it was weird, right? It was weird. Ventrilo, yeah, I remember Ventrilo. Let's keep watching though. It was still like you're a nerd phase for gaming. Exactly. It's like if you played video games, you were like a nerd and a loser, right? Should I advertise itself as a game? Everybody plays games, just like everybody watches series, and you don't advertise series watches. It's cringe and weird. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that you're a gamer or whatever, but it's just like it's just so normal. Like everybody kind of plays games now. It's just how it is, right? Like a lot of people do, and it's a very, very normal way of, you know, having fun and like, you know, entertaining yourself. And I think that's good. I think that's cool that it's more normalized now. I think if somebody says that they're a gamer, in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, they're probably like doing it on like a higher level, right? That's when I think of gamer. Like I'm a gamer. It's like, okay, you probably like some CS:GO pro or like League of Legends professional, something like that. That's when I think when people say gamer. I don't just think like, okay, you play video games, right? I would tell my boyfriend to play WoW so I could watch. I didn't have a PC. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, let's keep watching though. Yeah.
Did you go and play the sports ball and then do 3 hours of after school homework, not kill dragons and call people tubes? I bet you knew people.
What? What is a tube?
People tubes.
Tube is a gaming slang for a high-level player that acts like a noob or a newbie to annoy or disrespect other players. Oh my god, dude. I've done that to some friends before when I was a kid, okay? I've done that, dude. Yeah. I played a lot of Super Smash when I was a kid, right? And I was pretty good at Super Smash Brothers. and like Melee. I think it was Super Smash Melee. It was Super Smash Melee, and then like you have a friend come over who hasn't played it before, and then like you kind of like let him attack you a little bit, let him knock you out, and then you whip out the then you like come in with it, dude. You just pump them the last round, dude. That feels good. Yeah, put them in their place, man. Ah, yes. I've been hiding my power level all along.
I bet you knew people, but never knew they were into games because it just wasn't really said as much, which shame. Media certainly didn't help, and to this day somehow still doesn't. You have the League of Legends World Finals with its millions of viewers, a 16-year-old winning $3 million on Fortnite, and the media still somehow manages to laugh at them, saying it's not a job, it's just a game. Thankfully, people have started laughing at them more than with them nowadays.
That's true. Whenever I do go somewhere, man, if I gotta go someplace and they ask me what I do, it's always so awkward. Either it's like some mom who's like, oh, my son plays Fortnite, or like my kid plays League of Legends, and then they try to like, you know, or it's like, it's just weird, man. It's a weird thing to talk about, really, especially with the older generation for sure. And yeah, it is what it is, right?
Social circles, though, change over time, as do the norms. So how have players gone from playing a genre with a focus on grouping to preferring being alone then? Well,
it's
how
cozy.
many times have you heard this story? Somebody joins a game with a bunch of friends to try out something new, or you've been that person yourself, only to be the last one playing a few weeks later and everybody else has quit. But you're still having a pretty good time actually, so you want to carry on with where you were at. How many of you in fact got into MMOs through doing something like this? On top of that, many of the big MMOs that are still going nowadays have been out for literally over a decade. It's wild.
That is literally, yes, that is literally the reason why I'm streaming right now. The thing that he just said is why I am actually a streamer at the moment. I went to the gym, and one of my friends went up to me and said, oh, let's go play, there's this new private server that came out called Nostalrius, it's really fun. And I said no at first, but eventually, long story short, I ended up playing. He quit the game, I kept playing by myself. He now has a wife and 2 kids, and I still play. So yeah, that's what it is.
If you think about it, still getting updates, still getting players back, still being something which people choose over
I'm the real winner.
titles. On top of this, in recent years, there's been one giant nostalgia wave hitting gaming.
I'm the real winner here.
Titles getting a reboot like Spyro, COD, Skyrim, probably for the 8th time or something now, and even MMOs like RuneScape and Classic WoW, of course. And I think many of them have proven to hold significantly more than just nostalgia. After all, I'm pretty sure you cannot be nostalgic for something whilst also continuing playing it for 2 years straight. That's not what nostalgia is, right? In fact, many players...
At first, it was nostalgia for me. I won't lie, it was. I did come back to vanilla because I was nostalgic of the past. But I liked the game and I kept playing. And I actually enjoyed the gameplay. But at first, it definitely was nostalgia that was the driving factor for me. For sure.
Actively seek out MMOs to play solo after having been familiar with the genre for a long time. But though times may stay the same in-game, in real life, things change. Which leads us to getting solo players. There are many different types of them, sort of like Pokemon, but I think 2 of them make up the most part. A lot of people have had changes in real life. MMOs are still the game genre you prefer to play in the evening, but honestly, you just want to switch off and grind a little bit. It's been 8 to 10 hours straight of work, moving, talking, thinking, acting, and you finally get that moment to yourself at the end of the day, and you just aren't really in the mood for joining a group or having to type out a bunch of stuff to another person. You throw on the /D&D and take your mind off things for the space of the evening. And though the grind...
I think for me as a streamer, I know this is not the point he's making, but for me, the reason why a lot of the times I like doing like solo stuff on stream is because I can just talk to you guys. I sit here, I play my game, I do whatever I am doing, and I can talk to you guys in chat. And I don't have to, because like sometimes if I'm like interacting with other people in game and then you guys, it's like there's so much stuff going on. So that's for me sometimes why I enjoy doing that. But I guess that's from a little bit of a different POV because it's from a streamer's like point of view, right? So yeah.
May not be the most engaging. At the same time, it is still moving your character
You guys are
forwards.
shameless, man.
It
You guys
still
are absolutely
enables
shameless.
that sense of progression that is core to the MMO genre. What about the online introvert, though? Are people just shy? Maybe, but these 2 things are not one and the same. It's hard to tell if somebody is actually shy, and they're often going to feel a bit ashamed or overthink it if you try and approach them about it. When it comes to
sometimes I just like doing, I like logging in when I want to and logging out when I don't want to anymore. Sometimes when you play with friends, have you ever had those like gaming sessions where like you kind of like stick around because you feel like you kind of have to, and like you're in the call with a lot of people, and like they, you know, you're playing League or 5v5 or whatever, or WoW, and you're doing something together, and you kind of feel like you can't leave in a way. It's like, I just like doing whatever I kind of want to do, you know? I just, if I don't want to play anymore, I log out. If I want to play, I log in, bing, bang, bang in the chat. That's how it is, right? So,
introvert people online, though, often they just won't seek out group activity, but if something does happen, they will generally go for it. In fact, World of Warcraft used to have its own introvert or not litmus test. You know, during Wrath the Lich King, after your faction wins the battle for Wintergrasp, and then instantaneously pugs start forming to go and do Vault of Archivon, were you that guy that would always join a pug, or did you ever try and set them up yourself frequently? This was not a big server problem, and you probably didn't even experience this on big servers, but it was on small servers. It was like a Mexican standoff waiting for that one guy to post LFM, and then he would suddenly get inundated with over 20 whispers instantly. It was more than just being lazy or not. Some people would never take that step to start the group, which is fine. It's all a game after all. But some people will instigate content and others won't. And in some circumstances, games have accommodated towards ensuring that both groups and solo players have content to enjoy, which has led to much more catering towards accessibility. This has grown considerably over the years. On the channel, we mainly talk in World of Warcraft terms for familiarity's sake, but I'm sure you can name features across many different titles here. When it comes for catering towards accessibility for the solo player, we have things like ensuring progression is not roadblocked by social aspects, the attunements that we currently have in TVC, adding more features to fit a wider range of players. Final Fantasy XIV is packed with solo story content battles. Retail.
I'm actually a big fan of solo stuff. I really am. I think so. It's not that I don't like doing group content and raids and stuff like that, but it's kind of cozy just doing like some solo quest or solo dungeon or something like that. I think that's what's kind of cool a little bit about Lost Ark in a way. That like those dungeons and those things are actually solo, and you could just go do a solo dungeon if you want. And I think that's really cool. I genuinely like that. I also like that there's the option to play with other people if you do so desire, right? I think that's pretty cool. I like that.
World of Warcraft, make sure that old raid content is easily soloable so players can go and farm transmog. Automatic grouping, plenty of games have this now. Honestly though, for me, any modern MMO should at least have some kind of UI where players can express interest and form groups manually, like what there is for Mythic Plus on retail or the LFG on Season of Mastery. Easier solo player experiences. Leveling for many players for the first time in Classic was a shock compared to retail. Finding out 2 kobolds can pretty easily send you to the graveyard. You learn in time both your limitations and that if an enemy has a red level, it's going to be a difficult battle. Many games over time though have made leveling much easier and accessible. Scaling instance content to fit a single player. Final Fantasy Story again. WildStar, RIP. Did this with adventures, which were sort of like scenarios where in Mists of Pandaria up to 3 players, but they could be done by 1. You have solo challenge content, the Mage Tower and retail, and there's so many more examples existing between so many more games. Overall though, there is a trend to create environments that will work for both the soloer and the group player. So then, why don't these people who want to play solo in an RPG go and play a single player offline game instead? At face
It's what I said earlier. It's just nice being able to play solo in a game where there's other people playing it as well. It feels like you're a part of a big world, but you can go about doing your own thing. It's the same thing in real life, right? Like you can go hang out with people all the time if you want to, like, you know, if you want to hang out with friends or want to hang out with family. But like sometimes you just want to do some stuff. You want to go out, get a little hot dog, you know, bing bong bang in the chat. It's just nice being able to do whatever you want, right? The choice is there, and that feels good.
Value, it's kind of a fair question. Well, single player games are just simply really different. They have fewer dynamic features. A single player will
Heavy, thank you.
Never be able to replicate the
Thank
randomness of human action and decision making. Even the open world single players like Skyrim or Witcher 3 aim to build much different worlds than an online one could through having reduced limitations such as not having to ensure that hundreds of players could be on the screen at one time,
apart from the lag,
sure that combat feels smooth and responsive whilst online. In single player, story is much more of a curated experience with players choosing how they get to the end, and things such as NPCs and random events are used to layer that experience. How many times have you heard a guard complain about an arrow to the knee in Skyrim, or Geralt in The Witcher inform you that the wind is in fact howling? Basically, it comes down to sometimes players may want to be alone, but not completely solo. So why do they pick MMOs? Well, they get regularly updated with new content. With a single player game, you're waiting years for a new drop or a DLC. Character progression is just better and more.
It's also just a different feeling. Being in an MMO, running around, knowing the people that run around are players, right? Rather than like Skyrim. If you play Skyrim, Skyrim is a great game, but you know that there's no other people in your world, right? You're the like the sole hero, right? So yeah.
Involved overall, and there's more emphasis put into it in the MMOs
it was
as
fun
opposed to single players.
But it was pretty
other
bad,
players out in the world, even if you don't interact with them all that often, it makes the world seem more active and gives it meaning, especially to ways which you've customized your character and progressed on them, such as with your appearance and achievements. You have that sense of passive validation. You can separate yourself out as different and having made something unique. Rise of cosmetics through shops and transmog and so on work for a reason. Everybody, social or solo, wants to stand out, and having other people see the thing you have done gives it some meaning. Overall, many players count.
I mean, how many people played WoW and have had like a stand in Ironforge or Orgrimmar set? You equip all the most rare items that you got, sit on the coolest mount you have, and then sit on like a spot where people can see you, so people know that you're like, you got some gear, man. You're pumping, you know. I've done that. I won't lie. I have done that before, and I think a lot of other people has as well. You know, you gotta flex it.
MMOs are less social to be directly the things that have caused the most harm to them, especially through things like automatic grouping, teleporting around the world, convenience taking away from the overall experience. But it's just not the games becoming easier for the sake of it. They're changing with the times, and after all, what would an MMORPG be if it didn't have players to fill the world? That's all though. Let me know your thoughts on everything. Again, a big thank you to everybody who supports the channel on the Patreon. It really does make a difference, and I truly appreciate it. As always, thank you all so much for watching and listening in, and I shall see you all in the next one very soon.
Good video. I like it. I think it's a lot of good points, and it's a very interesting thing actually to talk about. I will link you the video in the chat, guys. Go give Willy a little comment, a little sub, a little like on the channel as well, and check out Willy's channel, guys. There's the video there. I think he's definitely made some really good points, and I don't think there's anything wrong with playing just an RPG that's not an MMO in open world, but it does make it feel different, and it is very something unique, even though a lot of the times you just want to play by yourself, right? I think that definitely does make sense.